Hello, my name is Lesley Coffin from the Mary Sue, and I'm here today to talk with Christina Jackson, one of the stars of Outsiders, and you play Sally Ann, and you're about halfway through with the series, but
Yes.
for people who might have missed the show so far, why don't you do a little catch-up about what the show's about and your character especially?
Okay, so Outsiders takes place in Kentucky, mostly in the Appalachian Mountains and partially in the fictional town of Blacksburg. And you're basically coming upon this family called the Farrells, who have been in the mountains of Kentucky for 200 years. So, I mean, you're talking like patriots. The show is present day, and basically, after 200 years, they don't believe in money, they don't read, write, any of that stuff. They're, for the most part, completely self-sustaining. A coal company has come to town and has brokered a $1 billion deal for the coal on that part of the mountain and needs this family off. But realistically, for people who have been on a mountain for 200 years, where do they go? And further than that, who really owns a mountain? Is it the people who paid $1 billion for it, or the people whose ancestors are basically buried on it? So that's the gist of what Outsiders is about.
And you're kind of playing the love story part of the show.
Yeah, because there's always love.
Of course.
There's always love. So I play one of the characters and one of the townspeople in Blacksburg, which is at the base of the mountain. And her name is Sally Ann. She is your nice, sweet girl next door. She works at she has a couple of jobs, actually. She works at a convenience store. She works at a gas station. And she, one night at her store, comes face to face with the Farrells. They're making a run into her store, and she meets Hassel Farrell, that is played by Kyle Gallner. And from that meeting sparks a chain of events between the two of them.
So when you auditioned for the part, what was sort of the character description that you had to play?
A sweet girl next door who has a fascination with the Farrells. Please attempt to do an accent. That was literally, and her name was Lucy Ann in the original script, and then they changed it to Sally Ann without telling me. So, yeah.
How did the accent go? How did you go about
I did what I thought a Kentucky accent sounded like. I went and watched Winter's Bone with Jennifer Lawrence because that's kind of the only reference that I realistically had. And so I picked up a little bit of that, and then when I did book the role, they gave me dialect training with an actual coach.
The interesting thing about a show like this, because it is pretty much an ensemble show about a family and then all the people peripheral, but most of your scenes are with Kyle, so you kind of are doing one-on-one acting for most of the weeks.
Yeah.
What's that like to do an ensemble like that where you're pretty much focused on one character?
Yeah, I mean, it's refreshing because you don't have so many stories that you're dipping and dabbing into. I mean, especially for Kyle, it's like he has the mountain stuff, and then he has the Sally Ann stuff, and then he's got like his own dealings in the town. For Sally Ann, it's kind of, I was brought on to be a love interest. We're not sure where the love is going, so it's easier to make this connection and be able to develop these characters and explore and work and bounce things off of one another, no pun intended, and try different things out. So, I mean, Kyle has been a great acting partner, especially with all of the things that Hassel is. And I think that Sally Ann, as grounding as she can be, just makes his heart go pitter-patter, and like he makes all of these decisions that are just like, what are you doing?
One of the other really nice things about your character is you're essentially showing Kyle's character what the modern world is like and exposing him to things. What are some of the things that you realized when you're trying to explain it to someone who's been cut off, what our so-called modern world is like?
I mean, on the show, I'm trying to like explain to him like what dating is. And, television and like Katy Perry and all of these things. For me, it's like trying to explain the internet to someone who does not know what a computer is. So you have to go back and then explain what a computer is. So trying to explain things made it that much easier to figure out that Hassel Farrell, who's played by Kyle, is not a dumb man. He's just not exposed to the wonders of the modern world.
One of the really nice things is that the character is described, I think even in the press notes, as girl next door. And getting to be the girl next door but also be one of the few African American cast members on the show must be really kind of fun, because was the character described to you as African American?
No, they were looking for not Caucasian. So Native American, Hispanic, African American, and when they saw my tape, they were like, huh, if we were to cast you, like, we'd have to go back and, like, you know, put in some aspects of African American life, which when you hear that, you're like,
Right.
This could be stereotypical, and I don't know how I feel about it. So she has been described as the girl next door, but I think with the last 2 episodes, episode 5 and episode 6, you're finding out that Sally Ann is your girl next door, but she has some issues at home. She's a lot stronger than you think, and you're still trying to figure out if her caring for Hassel is as strong as his caring is for her. Because you very much get the feeling that from the first time he saw her, he was like, she is mine, this is what is happening, we are together now. And she's like, slow your roll.
And we should touch on the fact that your other big character that you interact with a lot on the show is your brother. And there's constant talk about him disapproving of things.
Yes.
What is it about that relationship that was interesting for you to play? Because it is a different dynamic than just possessive brother or someone who's overprotective.
The thing about this series in particular is that everyone is kind of fighting for something that you're not necessarily clear whether what they're fighting for is right or wrong. I think that more so than it being a race thing where Hassel is white and Sally Ann is black, more than that, he's a feral. And I think James, Sally Ann's brother, just does not want her dealing with a feral. And then you can add all of the other stuff, like no guy wants any other guy touching his sister. Like, that's just not what guys want. Like, they just don't want that to happen. So, not that James is wrong for any of these apprehensions that he has, but it's just like you can't really stop curiosity.
We did want to touch on what you have coming up, not only the show, but also kind of what you're working on yourself.
For the most part, we're just fingers crossed for season 2. I did have a short film called Slumflower that went all the way to Cannes Film Festival in the short film corner that I'm very happy about. Just being able to be a part of projects like that where you're kind of pushing the boundaries and the limits on what people would normally think about situations that are not necessarily familiar to them. So Slumflower is about a little boy named Jeremiah who lives in the public housing in New York, and he's kind of this dreamer. He does not realistically see his surroundings for what they are. And then going towards the end of the movie, you see just how tragic his situation is. And so if you get a chance to check it out, it is called Slumflower. And it's with a partnership with Rocket Light Films and Street Etiquette.
Thank you so much for
Thank you for
coming
having
on to
me.
the studio today.
Thank you, darling.
And good luck. The second part of Outsider airs on
Tonight.
Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
Tonight, Tuesday.
Which is Tuesday. So
WGN 9 o'clock. Watch me and those damn ferals.
Well,
Let's do it.
thank you very much.
Thank you.